This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, and welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective, and we are also a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community. As always, make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms, especially Twitter or X. That's kind of our main source and feed for all the latest news and info that's coming out in real time. That's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information from us. Then also make sure you're following our YouTube channel, where you can see all of these video episodes as we release them every single week, as well as our audio episodes. I've got Tyler here with me, man. We've got another position group series to jump into, man. You ready?
Yeah, let's look at the often overlooked but never underappreciated position on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to jump into the special teams episode today, which is going to be a good one. But before we do that, we have to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap up, which catches us up with all the athletic news that we've missed since we last recorded. So, Tyler, hit us with that Red Towel wrap up.
All right, so starting off strong, we got WKU softball got commitment from UK transfer and a mock.
Yeah, always good to get a transfer back from UK. Seems like over the last few years, we've lost some transfers in both baseball and softball to the UK Wildcats, but we got one in Anna coming from UK, and I thought it was interesting when I was looking her up. They played a game here at Western this past season, and she actually won the game with a walk-off hit. And then she just decided, I guess, that she would look better in red than that terrible blue with the Wildcat on her. So we will forgive her. She's coming over to the good team, and she's got 3 years of eligibility left. So we're excited to have her. Welcome to the Hill, Anna.
And speaking of commitments, WKU baseball got commitment from Iowa Western transfer Rodney Whaley.
Yeah, interesting that transfer comes from the old stomping grounds of Coach Mark Reardon, where he spent 20 seasons at Iowa Western. So, but not a surprise, because Coach Reardon and his experience in the JUCO level, he's got a lot of connections. So we keep saying that the transfer portal has not been kind to us, taking a lot of guys away, but we're slowly starting to put that back together, and that's a good addition. So welcome to the Hill, Rodney.
Staying with WKU baseball, they center fielder Ryan Weidman named a second team All-American by Baseball America.
Yeah, Baseball America is one of the biggest baseball publications in the nation as far as keeping up with top 25 rankings and awards, etc. So that's a really big honor that just add to the list. Weidman has been on several All-American lists, first team, second team, third team, and this is just another well-deserved piece of recognition for Mr. Weidman. So big congratulations to him.
WKU baseball is hiring Brett Neffendorf as new assistant and pitching coach to replace Dylan Napoleon.
Yeah, this one is a good pickup. He has been the coach at IU Southeast. He's been a very winning coach at the NAIA level. And I also found it interesting that his brother is Brad Neffendorf, who is the coach at LSU Shreveport, who is the team that just went 59-0 and won the NAIA national championship. So a very winning family. But Brett, it hasn't come out officially yet, but it is out there to be known. So we did share it. But Brett Neffendorf will be coming over to replace Dylan Napoleon. So welcome to the Hill, Brett.
And then Coach Reardon named Midwest Region Co-Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and just kind of as the baseball season has just ended in the last couple of weeks, there's still some postseason awards that are they're trickling out, and this is definitely a deserved one for Coach Reardon, and just the recognition for the the year that we had with the WKU baseball team. So definitely well deserved, and congratulations to Coach.
And that concludes the Red Tail wrap up. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, absolutely good stuff. A lot of baseball news, but also some just a couple players transferring into Western. So always good news to talk about. Love sharing all that type of information. And now we get to continue on with our 2025 position breakdown series. And this week we are talking about the special teams group. You alluded to them earlier, being the kind of the position on the field that doesn't get as much shine or as much recognition as they probably should. But I, got to thinking about it a couple weeks ago when we were getting ready for this episode. I said, man, this episode is really one of those episodes that I think deserves a special guest to come join us. And I said, who better than a guy that's been on the show before, just a former WKU punter himself, just an all around good guy and a legend that everybody knows and everybody loves. So we've got Mr. Tom Ellard joining the show. So man, let's welcome Tom to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, boys. Pleasure to be on the show again.
Awesome, man. We love having you. Now, obviously, since we last saw you, when we talked to you last, you obviously had hit the transfer portal. You ended up going to Northern State there in South Dakota, playing football with them for a year. That season obviously ended. You dipped your toe into possibly looking into the pro ranks. So I guess tell the people listening and watching, I guess just recap where you've been, how that season went at Northern State, and just kind of your journey to get back to where you are today since we talked to you last.
Yeah, so obviously everything sort of went down, as everyone knows from the last podcast. There's a bit of a whirlwind of 6 months, but I ended up going up to South Dakota, Northern State, played the season there. Unreal. D2 is obviously a bit different, but really good school. Pretty cold. Snowed 90% of the time I was there. So, an Australian in snow isn't a really good mix, but I dealt with that. But yeah, we had a decent year. Started off really, really good. The team, not so much. I think it was 0-5. And then on the back end, we beat 3 of the ranked teams in D2. So we finished off pretty strong. Punting-wise, I had a pretty decent year considering the conditions. So, and then, the year sort of finished, and I actually signed with an agent who, Forrest Lamp, everyone knows who Forrest is. Unreal guy, O-line. What was he, 2-time All-American at Western. And we sort of try to structure my next steps in life on what to do. So went to a combine for the CFL, did really, really well. Went to an All-American game first at the Vikings Stadium and did very, very well. And then went to the CFL combine after that in San Diego, the Novak punting one. And then pro day, obviously, I got to come home to the hill and sort of balled out. Had a really good day. I think I averaged off the open field, averaged 52, I think, off of 6 open field punts. And then the going in kicks were a bit different, but we sort of had a decent day at the pro day, and what the next steps were, and waiting on phone calls and all that. Having a chat with Forrest. A couple of the NFL teams reached out about camps, and that obviously didn't end up happening. And, you get your hopes up going, well, am I a chance? And obviously the next step was CFL. So we sort of spoke to a few of the CFL teams who were interested. And the draft sort of didn't go my way. They drafted kids. I'll leave it at that one. And yeah, we sort of sat back and, what are we going to do next? Do I keep training? Do I do this? Do I do that? So I sort of sat down with my dad, mom, and I'm like, I'm done. I've had a great career. Not many people can say or even come close to saying the accolades that I got at Western and what I've done, and my journey's been awesome. And, I played AFL back home for numerous amounts of years. It's almost about 15 years straight of sport. So I ended up getting married to my beautiful wife, Deanna, who's in the other room. And I just decided, there's more to life than football. I want a family one day, and it's pretty hard playing football and raising a family because you have to travel and do all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, at the moment we got 2 beautiful dogs, and we're still here in Bowling Green. The green card application is actually en route at the moment, so we're waiting for the outcome of that. So hopefully I'll be an American by the end of this year, which would be kind of weird to say. But at the moment we're just loving life, married life with 2 dogs, and waiting for the next stage in life, which is good.
Awesome, man. Congratulations. I know
Thank you.
when you left, we were keeping up with you from afar, trying to see how your season was going there. So I have to ask, how much did you get to keep up with the Hilltoppers while you're gone and still doing your thing, kicking over there?
I watched it every weekend. I made sure to either get the wife to record it or on the bus watching it, or I think I was pretty invested in them last year to the point where we're on the verge of making playoffs. We didn't make playoffs, and literally I didn't have to go to school because I graduated. So there's like 2 weeks left of school, and I'd send an email to the professors. I'm like, I'm getting out of Aberdeen. It's cold. I'm going back. Hilltoppers have got 2 games left. So I got to come back and watch Lucas kick the game winner against Jacksonville State at home, which was good. But yeah, no, I kept up with my boys. WKU is always family. Helton's always family. LaRussa's always family. All the special teams guys, everyone. I sort of rolled into the facility and everyone still remembered and, wow, sort of thing. So, it's still home for me. That's the main thing.
Yeah, pretty awesome. I remember being down there with you for that Jacksonville State game. It was cold for that one too. I'm sure you were right back in South Dakota, but it was pretty rough for that one.
Yeah.
But you will be the perfect addition to talk about some of these guys, because a lot of these guys are guys that you've been on the field with and have spent time perfecting your craft with. So we can't wait to hear some of your insight to these guys and what they add to the team, or even some of the guys what we've lost. So let's jump into that. We are talking about special teams, like we mentioned, by the Phil Steele magazine, who we kind of lean on for our information, our stats, our facts. And the last couple weeks when we talked about these position groups, we haven't really agreed with Phil because he's not been so nice with our linebackers and our defensive line. But our special teams unit, he has ranked as the #1 unit in Conference USA. But in a twist I've never seen before out of Phil Steele's magazine, it's a 4-way tie for #1 with Liberty, Louisiana Tech, and Missouri State. So a 4-way tie for the #1 special teams unit in the conference. But I think that really says a lot about WKU, especially here in a moment when we talk about who he lost to the transfer portal. We lost a couple big time all conference guys, and we're still up there, considered the #1 special teams unit in the conference. So let's jump into that first. Let's talk about who he lost before we talk about who is still on the roster. And if we can't start that discussion without talking about kicker Lucas Canero, just an all-conference, preseason all-conference USA guy, postseason all-conference USA guy last year. And then even he was Phil Steele's first-team All-American after the season ended last year. And then as the preseason awards have come out this year, he's actually a second-team all American in the Phil Steele magazine as well. But he left WKU, he entered the transfer portal, and he is now at Ole Miss. Have to start there. That's a huge loss. Then we also lost kicker and punter Riley Stevens, who ran out of eligibility. We lost kick returner Easton Messer, who transferred to FAU. And then we lost long snapper Drew Wilson, who exhausted his eligibility. So let's talk about these guys. First, I'm going to give Tyler a moment. Tyler, talk to me about these guys that we lost and just what that means to this team and this position group.
Well, when we lost Lucas, he only missed 1 field goal for last year. He was 18 and 19. I think on the extra points, he didn't miss any. He was 6 of 6 for 50 yards plus, and he had his longest of 54. So I never felt nervous whenever he went out there. He was just a real stand-up guy, great kicker. And to see him gone hurts. But then Easton Messer, a great kick returner, also a great wide receiver. So with him, you kind of lose 2 weapons. But with Andy LaRusso at the helm, I feel like we're going to be good this upcoming year.
Yeah, Lucas was kind of a cheat code because with his range that he had, 50 plus consistently, if you got the ball across the 50-yard line, you were within scoring range with Lucas. And it's crazy. He missed his very first field goal of the season against Alabama, and then he didn't miss one again the rest of the season. So I don't know what happened. The kick at Alabama, I was in a side angle, couldn't see if it was a snap, the hold, a kick, whatever. He just pulled it for whatever reason. Rare that he would do that, but perfect the rest of the season. Tom, I know Lucas is a good buddy of yours. Talk to me about some of these guys and what it means to this team that we're not going to have him on the field this year?
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, year in, year out, I think the special teams at Western get ranked pretty high because obviously LaRussa's behind us all. I think LaRussa should be ranked number one special team coach in the nation. He's unreal. He recruits guys that, get the job done, which is why every single year Western have a very, very good special teams. Lucas is, I can't speak more highly of him, as I always say. I mean, he's a great kid. His composure on the field is second to none. I think he is going to take some really big steps at Ole Miss. He's going to be a big loss for Western, but at the same time, Coach Lewis has probably brought some guys in, and obviously Easton. I mean, Easton's unreal too. I've never met a guy want to perform week in, week out on the field and even off the field in the gym, recovery, all that. So I think that return, again, Larussa's probably found some because he's very good, but I think those two guys are a pretty big hit for Western in that portal situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we do have some guys returning, and then we'll also talk about some guys that we added to the roster before we look at who the projected starters are. So, first of all, returning, we have kicker Jackson Smith, number 43. He's a redshirt junior, 5'11", 211 pounds, transferred in last year from the University of Kentucky. We have kicker Michael Buck, who is returning. He's number 58, a redshirt freshman, 5'10", 170 pounds. Then we have long snapper Rex Robich, number 55. He is a redshirt senior, 6'3", 221 pounds. Then we have punter Cole Maynard, who is number 18, redshirt senior, 6'1", 180 pounds. So, a couple guys there, first team all conference in the Field Steel magazine this year in Rex and Cole. And then looking at some guys that we added to the roster from the transfer portal this season, we have kicker John Cannon. He is number 39 on the roster. He's a redshirt senior, 5'9", 176 pounds. He transferred in from the University of South Florida. And then kicker Jack Cassidy, number 42, redshirt junior, 6'6", 220 pounds. Big old boy back there kicking bombs, I'm sure. And then we just signed a couple weeks ago kick returner Adrian Boyd from the transfer portal from the JUCO level. So, like Tom just alluded to, Coach LaRussa does not play around. The cupboard is far from bare. He restocked it with plenty of talent. So Tyler, jump in real quick and talk about some of these guys that we still have on the roster for this season.
All right, so with Rex Robick, he's a second team All Conference USA. Great long snapper. We just talking about returners right now, like not the newcomers. All right, so Cole Maynard last year, he was averaging 42.7 yards per punt. He had 18 inside the 20-yard line. He played in 14 games. And then Rex Robick, like I said, he's a great long snapper. I feel like he's going to get the ball. He ain't going to try to shoot it over your head like that happens sometimes, but I feel like he's a real steady hand back there. Michael Buck, I don't think he played last season, and then Jackson Smith, he kind of I didn't see him on the field too much last year neither.
Yeah, no, I know this will be fun to hear from Tom because I know he knows a couple of these guys very well. I know you're really good friends with Rex. So talk to me about some of these guys on the roster, Tom. What did they add to the special teams group this year?
I mean, I'll start with Rex. I trust Rex with everything. I used him on my pro day. I think, unfortunately, I didn't get to play with him because of that eligibility stuff he had, but he's just a great addition to the special teams. I mean, if the ball does get returned, you always know that he's going to be down there hitting someone, tackling someone, making sure it doesn't go in the end zone like he did once or twice. But I think he was unlucky. He should have been first team last year, but in my opinion, he's just got to take that next step this year, and I think he will. I hang out with him most days. So he's a great kid, great long snapper. Again, another big future coming out of Western. Jackson, I've been training with him a fair bit. He's getting there. He's sort of one of those guys where he's got that explosive movement. I've never met a guy so strong and just like barely hit the ball and it goes 50 yards type situation. So he's also kind of handy to have on the field. Buck, I trained with him when I was at the field, not kicking. I just watched him, but he's good for a young kid. He'll be very good for the team. And then Cole, Cole's Cole. He's such a good kid. He can punt a ball. He can happily hit a 60-yarder. And again, I think this year is going to be his year. I'm going to put it on that he'll probably be in the top 5 in the nation for punt net and also punt average. So with Rex behind him, I don't think there's going to be any issue in the special teams room this year.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, that's kind of year in, year out. Our special teams is just solid, and I don't think that's going to change this year. Looking at our projected starters, the projected starter at the kicking position is John Cannon, the transfer redshirt senior from USF. So expecting, he has big shoes to fill, obviously filling in for Lucas. But just looking at what he did at USF, I have really strong and high hopes for him that we're going to have a pretty good season out of him. Starting punter is once again Cole Maynard, who stepped in last year in the starting role and had a really good season. And then starting long snapper, like we talked about earlier, second team All Conference USA Rex Robich. And then I wanted to add in here kick returner Adrian Boyd because we did lose Easton Messer, and that's a really big weapon that we lost that can help flip the field on a kick return. And when we signed him a couple weeks ago, I just found it really interesting, just looking at his stats, that he can average 40 yards per kick return. I mean, that can change the whole complexity of a game. If you're returning at 40 yards, if you can get at the 50 or close to 50 or across to 50, and you've got a guy with a leg back there, if you got Lucas or a guy like John Cannon, appropriately named, if he's got a solid leg, that's an automatic 3 points right there pretty much. So really love having those type of guys on the field. Seems like we've got a lot of talent there. Tyler, talk to me about these starters and kind of what you're expecting from them before we jump into our 4 questions that we ask of every position group.
All right, so John Cannon, he came from USF. Last season, he was 47 to 48 in point after attempts. I think his longest was 53 yards, but he was one of 2 from 50 plus yards. So, I mean, he can still get it there. Hopefully, we don't have to rely on him to do many long shots like that, but he can if he has to. Looking at Adrian Boyd, he's the number 1 JUCO kickoff return specialist. He's got 700 plus total yards. He averages 43.6 yards, and he's got 3 kickoff return touchdowns. So I feel like on the kickoff game, I'm expecting big things from him. Rex Robich, just as the good steady hands. I feel like he's going to put the ball where it needs to be. And then Cole Maynard, I mean, as long as he can flip the field whenever need him, I hope when Tom was out there, I hope we didn't have to see him too awful much. I enjoyed you rather on the sideline, Tom, but whenever you do come in, and then whenever Cole comes in, hopefully he can and continue to flip the field.
I'm still waiting for one of those pull down fakes. I'm waiting for a fake. And Tom kept rolling out, and I thought he was going to give me a fake. You talked about Rex earlier, and sometimes these guys don't get the recognition they deserve. And the long snapper is definitely one of those positions where you never want to talk about the long snapper, because if you're talking about Rex, it means he probably threw the ball over somebody's head or he bounced it in the dirt, getting it to the punter. So Rex, like you said earlier, he's just a real steady hand. I've got to meet him a couple times and his family. Obviously, we had Kaylee on here last season, got to talk to her before last year's volleyball season. So just a real solid person and a real good family that I love having around for another season. Tom, talk to me about these guys that are the projected starters before we jump into our 4 questions of this group.
Yeah, I mean, John Cannon, I sort of saw in practice a little bit. He can hit some. His last name definitely stands pretty tall. So hopefully he hits some cannons when he has to. But yeah, I mean, that starting specialist team's pretty good. I mean, you got Rex, you got Cole. I don't know much about punt return because I'm not really best friends with punt returns, to be honest with you, because they're returning my punts. But yeah, I mean, as I said, LaRussa knows what the team needs. So I'm trusting everything that he does, and I think there's going to be a pretty decent starting lineup on special teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to jump into the questions that we ask of every single position group, because I mean, there's just new faces and stuff that we've got to talk about. So some of these I think are going to be layups, are going to be give me's of what I expect the answer will be, but I still want to hear it from you guys. So I'll start with you, Tyler, first. Who is going to be the hardest to replace from last year's special teams unit?
Well, see, Riley, I think he averaged 61 yards per kickoff last year. And that's basically what he was doing was kickoff specialist. Lucas, I mean, great leg. Easton, no. I'm going to go with Lucas Canario.
Yeah, it's hard not to go with a guy that was a Phil Steele postseason first team All American and 6 of 6 from 50 plus. Yeah, Lucas is a good selection there. Tom, what about you? Who do you think is your hardest to replace of those guys that left from last year?
I mean, if I don't say his name, he's probably going to hate me. But nah, I think Lucas. I mean, he's, as I said, he's 1 in a million, that kid. So he's going to be pretty hard to replace.
Yeah, I'm really, I hold no ill feelings towards him. Taking an opportunity to go to the SEC and get an opportunity to kick there, and definitely going to be keeping up with him, see how he does there, and I fully expect that he's going to have NFL opportunities in the future. So, really excited for Lucas, and I agree with both of you all. He is definitely the hardest to replace from last year's team. And I'll give honorable mention to Easton Messer. Obviously, his versatility, being in the slot on offense and then returning kicks. That's obviously a really valuable weapon to have. But Lucas, gonna miss that guy for sure. Let's talk about Tyler. Who do you think is going to be your breakout player on this year's special teams unit?
I'm gonna go with the newcomer, Adrian Boyd. I like what I see from the stats of him. I feel like he's really going to help us out. And you give him in the hands of Andy, and I feel like this is going to be a great kickoff return specialist.
All right, Tom, who you got? Who's going to be the breakout player this year?
I'm going to have to go with my boy Rex, just because he didn't get much recognition last year. I mean, again, he should have got first team, so I just feel like it's more hunger for him to get that first team conference and All-American type situation too. So I think Rex is going to be the breakout dude.
Only for the sake of picking someone different this time, I'm going to pick somebody else. But I love both of those picks. So I think Adrian can be a game changer. I think Rex is obviously a great player and a great long snapper, and then he's going to go down and hit somebody as well. So I really enjoy that about him just as much as anything. But I'm going to go with John Cannon. He's got some big shoes to fill. I think some games in this conference come down to, every point matters. And I think there's going to be times where we need to go down and score 3. We can't, and we're not going to score touchdowns every single possession. But if we can get across to 50 and we can put 3 on the board, that's going to help us win ball games. We saw last year, the F8 or the Louisiana Tech game, we lost 7-12. We just didn't, the offense just wasn't there for whatever reason. But we couldn't even get far enough across the field to give us a chance to get 3 points. So that's why I think a player like a good kicker, a good solid guy at the kicking position can be a game changer. And I think that John Cannon can be that breakout player this year if he gets the opportunity. Tyler, who do you have as being your MVP for the special teams position this year?
I'm going to go with John Cannon. Not to piggyback off you at all, but if you ain't putting points on the board, you're pretty much not going to win. Even if you're not scoring 7, you still got to put something up there. So, you're right. He does have big shoes to fill. Hopefully we don't have to rely on him to kick too many long shots, but if he has to, I feel like he can and will do it. And plus you look at what he did in 23, he was 52 from the PAT. So, it just shows that he can kick it in there. So I'm going to go John Cannon.
All right, Tom, who you got? Who's the MVP of this group this year?
It's 50-50, but I'm going to go with the duo. I'm going to go with Cole and Rex. I just think either one of those two, if they're both clicking, I mean, they could both win it together because they do the exact same time on the field. They do everything together. So it's between Rex and Cole. They can listen to this and battle it out, but I got faith in both of them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I was actually leaning towards selecting Cole Maynard. He had a really good year last year, his first year here on the Hill, transferring over from UNC. And I think, I know that having a valuable punter on the field, somebody that can flip the field, pin somebody down inside the 20 or close to the goal line, that is a game changer for your team. If you can force the other team to have to make, drive 80, 90 yards down the field to score, you're really lessening the chances that they're going to finish that drive. You're giving your defense a lot better chance rather than if they get the ball at the 50 or close to plus yardage, your defense is kind of in bad position. One play and they're in scoring position. So I really look for a player like Cole and what he can do with his kicks, his hang time, and getting the ball inside the 20. I think that can be a game changer and really almost kind of be a cheat code for our defense, just helping them back up, pin somebody against the goal line, and make them earn their position on the field. So give me Cole Maynard for my MVP. Now, Tyler, I always love the bold prediction, so I'm sure you got something cooking for me. What's your bold prediction for the special teams unit this year?
Man, I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days. Ever since I was like, man, I got to start looking at special teams. I don't want to one up Lucas because he seems like a great guy, right? But he was 6'6" from 50 plus. Damn. I'm gonna go John Cannon. 8 of 8 from 50 plus. It's pretty. It's pretty cold. It's not even lukewarm, but I don't know, man. To me, this one's a tough one. It's tough.
Hey, that's a bold take. We hope he doesn't have to take that many long shots, but if he does, let's split the uprights.
100%.
Let's split the upright. So that's a bold take. I like it. Tom, what do you got? What's a bold take that you could see happening from this group this year in 2025?
I'm gonna go Cole to average 47 with no touchbacks, and Rex to have 2 tackles.
I like that.
That's bold. I mean, it's
solid.
not really bold because it's going to happen, but gives them some motivation.
Hey, you got faith in your guys, and they're going to listen to this and be like, "Come on, man, give me more than 47." And Rex wants to go hit somebody, so he wants more than 2 tackles too. But I like it though. My bold prediction, I'm going to go with John Cannon, and I'm going to say that he is going to be perfect on the year on both field goals and point after attempts. And I put that on Lucas last year, and of course, right out the gate, he misses the one against Alabama. But for the rest of the season, he was perfect. So I'm going to put an asterisk beside my my bold prediction last year that the first one didn't count. That was just a practice one at Alabama. It was crazy down there. I was at the stadium, and it was that was a fun game to be at. And he missed one, but then was perfect the rest of the year. So I think John Cannon, and a lot of that comes from the fact that I think our offense is going to put him in good position where we're hopefully not extending him out where he's having to kick 8 50-yarders. But if he does, Tyler, I think he can hit them too. He's got a cannon on him. So if we got to kick some 50-yarders, give it to him. I think he can do it. But hopefully we're giving him some chip shots more often than not, and not having to stress that leg out, especially in the later part of the season when it gets cold and you're kicking a brick out there. So give me that for my bold prediction, man. I love, again, sitting down and talking about these position groups. Like we said at the beginning, I feel like the special teams is the one that doesn't really get enough shine. Tyler said that as well, and I think that they obviously should. They're a very important part of the game. They're kind of that sneaky field position and just getting those extra yards, those extra points, flipping the field, whatever it may be. As long as everybody's doing their job, you really don't talk about them that much. And when you are talking about them, it's because somebody messed up or just something didn't go as planned. So I hope we don't talk about them much this season, point blank, unless we're just saying, hey, we're kicking game winners or Cole's kicking bombs out there or whatever it is. I hope these guys just continue to do their job. They're consistent week in and week out, and I expect nothing less from them with Andy LaRussa being the special teams coach. That's kind of always one of our best position groups. So looking forward to seeing what they do, and obviously continuing this position group series breakdown for the summer. Obviously, I appreciate having Tom on to join us. Tom, I'm going to give you a second in a minute to say some final words. But first, Tyler, hit us with your final words, and then we'll let Tom get his final words, and Tyler, we'll let you take us out of here after that.
All right, so I can't end the podcast without, I know we kind of glanced over the people we signed, right? Like Jack Cassidy. I looked up his bio. Dude's a stud, it looks like. Based on his bio, dude's a stud. So I work with a guy at work. He played D2 level. He was a long snapper. and he was talking to me today about the Cole kicking camps being like really big, really good things. Well, Cassidy, he was rated a 5-star transfer and the number 3 available kicker post signing day, according to the Cole kicking camps. And the Cole kicking camps also rated him as a 5-star. He was a number 10 available punter. He recorded the largest kickoff at the Cold Spring ranking event with 2 kickoffs that traveled over 85 yards in distance with 3.9 or more seconds of hang time. He tied for 5th in field goal kicking at the event and showed his versatility as a combo kicker punter with 47-yard average in the air as a rollout style punter. So, I mean, yes, he is a redshirt junior. And if he has to sit this year out, I feel like next year, stud coming in. But I just wanted to kind of cover him because, you know, I didn't know anything about him, really. So I was glad I looked that up. But yeah, I mean, as we're moving on through this position breakdowns, you know, I'm glad we're getting to learn more and more about each player, about each position, who's starting, what they look like, their stats from last season, and I am getting excited for this season because I feel like it's going to be something special.
Yeah, not to mention that Jack Cassidy has that John Haggerty size on him, 6'6", 220. You don't see many kickers rolling out there at that size. Kind of crazy. Tom, hit us with your final words, and then we'll sign off out of here.
Yeah, I appreciate you boys having me on, and it's good to be back in Boston. I feel like that pro day was just me being back at home, which is good. So, but yeah, 6'6", 220, and he's from Northern Ireland. Yeah, they got a weapon. He's going to be a dangerous man, and I mean, yeah, it's definitely a John Haggerty 2.0 situation by the looks of it. But I appreciate you boys having me on, and I'm looking forward to actually not playing football for once and sitting in the stands this year and enjoying it and shouting at Rex and Cole and, you know, just enjoying myself. So I know that Weston's going to do well. And as I said, I always trust what Coach LaRussa says. And I'm sure that this year is going to be an amazing year for the special teams and just Western in general with Coach Helton. So I think there's that fire in the belly after last year's championship. And I think Helton wants to come for it all, and LaRussa's right behind him. That's why he's gone out and made an unreal special teams this year. So, but yeah, I appreciate you boys for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think you're the first 2-time guest on the show, so that invitation is always open to you. When you reached out a couple weeks ago, I was like, "Hey, we're gonna have the legend on the show." So glad to have you. Can't wait to see you in the house. I'm sure we'll cross paths this year, watching a game, having a cold beverage, and just cheering on our tops and hollering at the guys on the field and the opponents, trying to heckle them a little bit. That's always a really fun part of the season. But man, loved having you on. Like I said earlier, the invitation is open anytime you want to come on here and talk about the Hilltoppers, man. Feel free to just hit us up. We'll make it happen. Now, Tyler, go ahead and take us on out of here.
All right, Tom, I like that hat. It's sharp, awesome.
Appreciate it.
And with that, Moff Tom, who has better than us?
Nobody, but you know it.
You know, go Tops, y'all.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See.